Welcome to the WrestleTalk News. I'm Quinnell, and we went one whole day on this channel without talking about CM Punk. Check the tapes. I didn't mention his name even once in yesterday's news episode, so it's about time we talk about him again. Chatter in the last week was talking about the possibility of CM Punk facing Kenta at AEW's upcoming crossover show with New Japan, Forbidden Door. There have been some verbal barbs from Kenta online, primarily with him saying that the match definitely isn't happening, which many fans took to mean that the match definitely is happening because wrestling. However, as we saw on Dynamite last night, Punk has got a new opponent in Satoshi Kojima, and shortly before the show, there was a report from Fightful Select that said Punk's match with Kenta had been scrapped. This was reportedly because Kenta expressed to New Japan and AEW that he isn't facing CM Punk. And as of this past weekend, AEW were questioning whether Punk would even be wrestling at Forbidden Door at all. This also reportedly led to some major changes on Dynamite, as there were reportedly big AEW programming plans for Kenta to set up that match with Punk. On the subject of Punk finally returning to AEW, sorry for what happened to you, Brian Children, Dave Meltzer had some insight to share when he appeared on the Post-X WrestleNomics podcast, where he said one of the top guys was just like, "We were told that we would not have to deal with Punk except for on pay-per-views, but here he is week one. There's a lot of divisiveness. It's worse now than it's been." CM Punk's presence being controversial in other news, water is still wet. But it did do well for the ratings for Collision's debut episode, as it drew an average of 816,000 viewers, almost the same as the same week's Dynamite episode, which drew an average of 832,000 viewers. But there's not just been one big match that's been scrapped in AEW lately, as there's another one that was rejected after it was pitched. Chris Jericho revealed on Talk Is Jericho that for the Dynamite taping in Winnipeg, you know the one, he pitched to Tony Khan that he should face Kenny Omega in singles action because they were both born in Winnipeg. What ended up happening was a trios match of the Elite versus JAS versus House of Black, and this was seemingly the reason the pitch was rejected, as Khan's response was, "No singles match, Kenny's in a trio. What are you talking about? This is Kenny Omega." Over in WWE, there's also unrest brewing, because there's one Irish man who's been a bit more vocal lately about his frustration with the company. Sheamus has recently said how he would be incredibly frustrated if WWE left him off the Money in the Bank show, with it being in London and all, and the UK scene was how he made his name, etc. He's now mentioned when speaking with Metro that he feels frustrated with WWE's usage of the Brawling Brutes, specifically saying, "I just don't think they've really capitalized on the group. I don't think they've really let us show what we can do." He went on to say that the group has been very stop-start and they haven't had the opportunities to do some good character work and storylines that other groups have. There's a lot more news today, including stuff like Mercedes Moné being lined up for a role in a Marvel project, Shad and Tony Khan potentially being interested in buying Bellator, and more. So check out WrestleTalk.com for the latest. And now, as Ollie is off on holiday, I think, recovering from the trauma of having to fire Brian Children, over to Tempest for his review of Dynamite.
Oh, this isn't Saturday, and this isn't SmackDown. Light the fuse, bring the boom. It's time for Dynamite. We indeed do light the fuse and bring the boom with our opening matches. We got the Hardys taking on the Guns. This was a pretty standard tag match with loads of cheating from the Guns, putting their partner's foot on the ropes, holding their arms so they wouldn't get hit with a twist of fate, and finally taking a distraction from Bullet Club Gold and hitting 310 to Yuma for the win. The Guns beating the Hardys. That's heat with me, Tony. After the match, Bullet Club Gold all continued the beatdown until the odds were gradually evened, with Ricky Starks, FTR, and CM Punk coming to make the save. I never thought I would see the day that CM Punk would come to the aid of Jeff Hardy. They were never on screen together, but that's all I could think about. They set up an 8-man tag match for Collision and went on their way. We then made history with AEW's first ever concession stand brawl as Mark Briscoe pinned Jeff Jarrett. They started out by a Chicago hot dog stand, and if it's not hot dogs, I don't want it. They got ketchup and mustard sprayed on them as Karen Jarrett interfered. Sanjay Dutt pushed Mark off a ladder through a table as the members of Jarrett's crew one by one came out to overwhelm poor Mark. They made their way through the crowd, and Jay Lethal joined the fight before they got to the ring, where all the best concession stand brawls take place. Mark finally got some backup as Papa Briscoe chokeslammed Jay Lethal through the ringside table. Papa Briscoe ran wild, which is my new favorite combination of 4 words, until Karen gave him a low blow. Satnam Singh sauntered down to the ring, and finally the ROH contingent of best friends Christopher Daniels and the Lucha Brothers took out Singh, and super kicked Jarrett so Mark could roll him up for the win. This was incredibly goofy fun, but I think I'm ready for this Briscoe-Jarrett feud to be done now, which in AEW means it still has another 6 weeks in it. The BCC challenged the Elite to a 5-on-5 match at Forbidden Door with Shota Umino joining the Blackpool Combat Club's team, and the numbers. Oh my god, they don't add up. This was not an invitation for Kota Ibushi like I initially thought, but still not bad. Bryan Danielson called Kazuchika Okada a coward and an amateur. That's pretty much what I call Pete anytime he can't give me assistance with a list I'm stuck on. Chris Jericho, Sammy Guevara, and Minoru Suzuki beat Action Andretti, Darius Martin, and AR Fox in the best match of the night. Just a crazy fun trios match with 3 young guys that can fly and 3 crazy good workers. The craziest thing is, even in a match filled with this much action, as in things happening, not as in Andretti, the moments that got the biggest reactions were Minoru Suzuki hitting the Sex Gods pose with Chris Jericho and Suzuki staring down Darius Martin after breaking up a sleeper hold. Suzuki commanded respect from the Chicago crowd. Jericho won with the Lion Tamer and afterwards said Sting was a selfish whore who only went to the highest bidder and challenged Sting, Darby, and a partner to a trios match at Forbidden Door. Sting and Darby came out and accepted the challenge but said we would wait until Collision to find out their partner. It didn't seem like they were setting up for Shingo to be their partner like he was last year, but who could it be? They said it was someone who had history with Chris Jericho, so my money's on Tetsuya Naito. The Elite accept the Blackpool Combat Club's challenge for Forbidden Door, but point out Kenny's match with Will Ospreay and bring in Eddie Kingston, who says he hates the Elite, but he hates Claudio more and has his own partner in mind. Tony Schiavone and former Quizzlemania Tag Team Champion RJ City drew the first 2 names in the Blind Deadly Draw tournament, but didn't reveal them. Well, not until the next segment. Adam Cole prepared a story for Storytime and welcomed MJF down to the ring, as MJF said he wouldn't accept a rematch out of concern for Cole's health and for the fact that he had Cole beat last week. Cole threatened to kick MJF's ass right now, and Schiavone stood up, and MJF and Cole told him to shut up before Tony Schiavone revealed that the first 2 partners in the tournament will be Adam Cole and MJF. They took this really well. Sorry, I don't have time to correct myself. Hiroshi Tanahashi then appeared on the screen saying he would show MJF the strength of New Japan, and Cole asked if he thinks Tanahashi is better than him, and MJF accepted the match. Cole wishes MJF luck, and I am really into this angle. Usually the can they coexist shtick is wildly played out in wrestling these days, but this had so much more in common with the Angle and Benoit team from 2002 that ruled than say Sasha and Bianca in 2021. This angle is hot, the people are into it, and it is very exciting to see someone meet MJF at his level on the mic like Cole can after the 4 Pillars feud. Also, Tanahashi, yay! They announced the entire bracket for the Owen Hart Cup, including CM Punk's match at Forbidden Door, which will be against Satoshi Kojima, who is great. But talk about an inauspicious way to announce a CM Punk match for Forbidden Door. We then got Orange Cassidy and Katsuyori Shibata taking on Zack Sabre Jr. and Daniel Garcia. Seeing Shibata and ZSJ wrestling in a Dynamite ring just warms my cold, shriveled heart. This was another very good, very fun match that ended in catastrophe as Orange missed an orange punch and accidentally hit Shibata, allowing Garcia to get the pin. Then it would be confirmed that we would be getting a 4-way match for the international title at Forbidden Door between these 4 men, as everyone held onto the title until Orange ripped it away. I would have rather seen a singles match between Sabre and Cassidy personally, but this just seems to be the Forbidden Door way of doing things. You can almost guarantee that Daniel Garcia is taking the pin in that match, and you can also guarantee that it will be fantastic. Will Ospreay is backstage and he is greeted by Don Callis, who says the people in Toronto are horrible, and now Don, you have gone too far. He gives Ospreay access to his security for the night just so he can see a fair fight. They officially announced Toni Storm versus NJPW Strong Women's Champion Willow Nightingale for the AEW Women's title at Forbidden Door, and then we got Taya Valkyrie versus Chris Statlander for the TBS Championship. It is so refreshing to have a back and forth competitive match for the TBS Championship like this. I'm a big fan of Jade Cargill, but I don't think it's unfair to say that people had gotten tired of her title run, and this is such a breath of fresh air. Taya hit the wing clipper and the sliding German suplex, but none of it could put Chris Stat down as Chris finally hit the Big Bang Theory for the win. I think AEW fans see enough of the Big Bang Theory, thank you very much. Then the main event segment came together as Eddie Kingston came out and said he hates Claudio Castagnoli. Jon Moxley came out alone and said that Eddie teaming up with the Young Bucks draws a line, and Eddie says Moxley drew the line when he aligned himself with Claudio. They get heated, and Eddie revealed the 5th member of their team is Tomohiro Ishii. This makes sense as Eddie and Ishii were feuding last year, briefly in AEW, more in New Japan, as Ishii came out and the Blackpool Combat Club brawled with Eddie and Ishii until Bryan got on the mic and said if Okada didn't face him, he'll kick Ishii's face in. Sure enough, Okada's music hit, and he came face to face with Bryan Danielson for the first time ever. Wheeler Yuta ruined that moment, attacking Okada from behind, but Danielson accidentally hit Wheeler with the knee, and Okada hit the Rainmaker to end the show. Needless to say, I am very much excited for the Bryan Danielson-Okada match, but I'm also very excited to see where this Eddie Kingston-Jon Moxley program goes, and finally see an Eddie Kingston-Claudio Castagnoli feud play out on AEW television as opposed to Ring of Honor. So overall, a very good episode of Dynamite with a lot of great stuff on it, some fun reveals, a few great matches. I probably would have preferred a few more singles matches on Forbidden Door, but I'm getting the main event of the year on this one, so I can't complain. This episode of Dynamite gets a 4 out of 5. Wait, I'm Ollie. This is Dynamite, so it gets an 80%. And that just about wraps things up from me, but make sure you check out the newest episode of No Holds Board over on Parts Fun Known, where we play wits and wagers, but all about wrestling. Here's a clip of that right now.
Welcome to No Holds Board, our weekly show running up to Quizzlemania, which is next week, by the way. We're doing another live Quizzlemania, where we play board games, but not wrestling board games, proper, actual fun board games, but we then engineer